Unboxing. In English, it's a cheerful word. Just imagine ripping up a box of gifts. But in China these days, the direct translation 开盒 has something a bit more sinister.
发广泛关注的开盒事件引起了大家对隐私保护的担忧。
Imagine a box containing your most sensitive secrets, your ID info, home address, even financial records. Now picture a stranger prying it open and scattering your private life across the internet. This month, a case made headlines by exposing this dark practice. A 13-year-old girl was caught trafficking in stolen personal data, and her family is tied to one of China's tech giants. On this week's Deep Dive, my colleague Jiang Tao explores how this shadow economy harvests our information and how we might shield ourselves in an increasingly invasive digital world. It's Friday, March the 28th. So this terminology, 开盒挂人, is even confusing for Chinese because I explained this word to some of my colleagues and their first reaction to this word 开盒 is that are we opening a box of gifts? So I think before we move further, it's important to make sure that everybody knows what this word 开盒挂人 means. And also, it's actually also connected to another word that people might be more familiar with, 人肉搜索. So can you explain to us what this word 开盒挂人 means and also what's its connection to the other word, 人肉搜索?
Sure. 开盒挂人 and 人肉搜索, just as you mentioned earlier, I think you pretty get the gist of the meaning of the two terms.
Right.
These two terms are not very good words, but if I want to translate it into English, 开盒挂人 literally means that open the box and hand the person.
Hand the person.
Yeah, hand the person, while 人肉搜索 translates to human flesh search. So both terms are commonly in Chinese internet culture. And 开盒挂人 is a metaphor for publicly exposing someone's private information, often with the intent to humiliate them or to punish them. On the other hand, 人肉搜索 is more like focused on the collection or the gathering process of the information, the private information. And I think it's used the collective power of the internet users.
Okay.
And, can be considered as less damaging.
So, because I know in English, there's a kind of like equivalent or a similar word called doxing. Also in the Western internet culture, which is used for people that kind of illegally dig up others' information and expose them online. So is there some connection? Can we say like doxing is the English translation for 开盒挂人?
Yeah, I suppose, because doxing share a lot of similarities, but there is a slightly difference. Doxing is a broad term used globally and referring to the act of revealing someone's private information to harm, to cause harm, to distress the individual. And 开盒挂人, however, is more focused on exposing someone's private information or their wrongdoings in a very public manner. So it may not always about revealing personal information for harassment, but more about publicly shaming or punishing the person. However, in practice, it also leads to some bad consequences like online harassment, and even people would attacked in real life because they can get their real address information and even their workplace information. There are so many cases. It's rampant. I mean, the phenomenon is rampant.
Right. I'm sure the first time I've heard about these illegal searches on people's real life information, the first case of such incident must be a very long time ago. And now, after we have made sure that everybody is on the same page on this terminology, 开盒挂人, let's go through what happened this time in this case. So this 13-year-old girl, she has illegally exposed people's personal information online. And I'm sure this is not the first time we have heard such a case taking place. And the question is, so why is there such a huge attention on this specific case this time?
Well, actually, as I mentioned earlier, this phenomenon is rampant. And why this girl stands out is because she is the daughter of Baidu's vice president.
Okay, one of China's biggest tech giants.
Yeah, so it raised many suspicions involved around this case. So this case is a recent example of the online of 开河挂人. It is derives from online argument between fans of different celebrities, and this girl is one of the fans of a celebrity. And fans from both sides use this method, 开河挂人, to attack each other. So they searched their private information, for instance, their names, jobs, and very sensitive data, and posted it online. And the girl also, exposed her opponent's information. And this have raised the suspicion maybe she have accessed the big tech firm's database.
Baidu, in this case.
Particularly in this case. And ironically, the girl who exposed the information also, was doxed back in return. So
she doxed her rivalry's information, and
in return,
ironically,
also
people also found out her background, family background. That's how people found out she's the daughter of one of China's biggest tech giants, Baidu.
And later Baidu responded by confirming that the exposed information, I think it is for publicity, did not originate from their platform, and the internal data handling was strictly separated, to prevent such breaches.
Right. So they have protection, making the internal information anonymous.
Very strict surveillance on the data.
So if the girl, the daughter of the vice president of Baidu, if she didn't dox her rivalry based on the information from her father's company, then how did she get those information? Because I'm sure I can't just look it up on Google and
people
then they just pop out.
Arguing about the result, why she has obtained such information. And from the individual's perspective, I mean, just the girl announced that she obtained the information from a blackmail market. And that organization is known as Social Engineering Database. This database is like a reservoir of personal information, acquired through illegal methods, some deceptive means.
So there's a database that stores people's information, but illegally.
Yeah, it is very huge database and gathered people's information from all around the world. And many people have even utilized the Telegram to get in touch with the database. And even
Telegram again?
Yeah, Telegram. And
Notorious.
even used cryptocurrency to make the deal how to track. Yeah, so it's very hard to find whether they, obtain the information from the database or not. And the database includes all kinds of information, like, for instance, your ID cards number and your phone number. I know you're a gamer, right?
Yeah,
so,
I'm a gamer.
And even your game accounts can be stealed from the database.
Okay.
And there is a vast market for this database. And some people can just pay, for instance, $8 for your phone number. And
$8 for phone number.
And sometimes they can, for more sensitive data, they can pay up to 2,000 yuan for
that
your
makes sense.
home address.
The more difficult it is to retrieve such data, then the more expensive the database will sell it for.
Yeah, and I think the market is shockingly large because people has the constant urge to want to get such information.
Yeah. So how severe is this problem in China of the doxing culture, the even doxing economy?
Well, it is quite common, I have to say, because recently I just read a news report say that a young kid used 开河挂人 to attack a pregnant woman because the woman say something bad about the celebrity, a celebrity, because the kid is one of the fans of the celebrity, and the kid sent abusive messages to all her family, and that is, very popular nowadays in China. And there are certain groups I want to point it out because I want to let you understand the general picture happening in China. One particular group is the celebrities, because they are, under the spotlight.
Right.
Yeah, and if they conduct some controversial behaviors, such as changing their nationality while still making money domestically, that definitely will stir some public outrage, and people would, just conduct such behavior to take advantage.
I wouldn't be surprised if the celebrities are the most vulnerable group, because even if you don't dox them, I think their information may already be
very
available, accessible,
and even for fans.
Yeah, might be very easily accessible already for the celebrities.
And I want to talk about another group, is that some bullies and abusers, because despite their actions of causing public outrage, they are not subject to the legal penalties, and people would just, under the guise of so-called people's justice, to to expose their privacy data online and try to let others to punish them. And additionally, there are also other cases happening around in China, and as I mentioned, the celebrity case, and many fans would attack each other. So it's like a formation of a fan quan, and they are easily engaged in such behavior, just attack each other using 开河挂人. Yeah.
Using this method.
Yeah, using this method to attack each other. And the problem is not unique to China. And for instance, in the US in 2017, a 28-year-old was accidentally killed by police after a prank, which involved a gamer providing the...
a gamer?
Gamer. Providing the address of another gamer to prank him. So, yeah, it's very horrible. And in South Korea, this situation is also very severe.
The celebrities.
Celebrities, especially those young female celebrities. Some of them even, chose to end their lives after suffering, long-term harassment online. While Europe is seen as a safer place due to strict privacy laws, they have a very profound and comprehensive legal system to protect privacy information, such as regulations on the large tech firms. But it also has some side effects, because such restriction would, hinder such big tech firms to thrive, to evolve.
Right.
Nonetheless, doxing remains a global issue.
Yeah, so this time, people have become aware of this terminology, 开河挂人. I'm sure, I wasn't the person to hear this terminology for the first time. Many others share this same experience as I do. But even though we are hearing this term, 开河挂人, for the very first time, this phenomenon has been existing long before this terminology.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the first time that the other word, 人肉搜索, became viral and became a phenomenon and a buzzword was in the early 2000s. Yeah, so the problem has always been there, but the terminology has been changing. So why it's been so difficult to just eradicate this problem, this doxing culture?
Yeah, you're perfectly right. Actually, there are several factors behind this phenomenon. One is the weak security system, and the other is lack of awareness among the public. And I think the good foundation of security system starts from regulation. For instance, in 2021, China enacted its first comprehensive data privacy law, which mandates those big tech firms to obtain explicit consent before collecting sensitive data. Yeah, and it also imposes penalties for violations. For the fines can go up to 5% of annual revenue. And in 2022, China's online hailing platform Didi,
right, I remember that case.
Yeah, was fined $1.2 billion for violating this law. And according to authorities, that in 2024, over 380 online harassers have been arrested for 开合 actions. But handling personal information remains complex, because sometimes governments also need to require tech companies to share data with authorities, especially in cases involving online fugitives and criminals. And some tech firms also continue to over-collect personal data,
right,
while many citizens lack awareness of their privacy rights and sometimes even don't know how to address such violations. So to alleviate this issue, I think maybe we should learn from Europe's practice,
right,
such as giving individuals the right to demand the deletion of their data.
Wipe out of their information online.
And requiring websites or apps to offer a reject all button for cookies or tracking, and as well as enabling users to withdraw consent at any time. And that gives them much more freedom to improvise. And I think one crucial part is also needed is the strict punishments.
Right.
And it can raise awareness about privacy protection. And many cases, I'm sorry to point it out, involve minors, because due to a lack of legal oversight, they're more likely to engage in online harassment. Just I mentioned earlier, a young kid just attacked a pregnant woman who criticized a celebrity, and that is a vivid case. I think young offenders need a new punishment mechanism to ensure they are properly regulated and guided. And I think no one wants to become a victim of online harassment. And we hope with better online environment regulations, these issues would gradually diminish.
Okay. So the complexity of these crimes may be the reason why it's been difficult to eradicate this phenomenon. And while we know that in this invasive internet culture, it may be difficult to keep our secrets, but I think for our podcast listeners, maybe the first thing we can do is to make sure our passwords are secure to our podcast accounts, so you guys can stay tuned to Deep Dive and other fascinating programs from CGTN Radio. Thank you very much for your time, Jiang Tao.
Thank you for having me.
The fallout from this case has been swift. Just this Monday, Weibo banned 147 accounts involved in doxing. But this isn't just China's crisis. With illegal data markets now operating across borders on encrypted platforms, using cryptocurrency to evade detection, the solution to doxing may need to be equally transnational. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Deep Dive. If you enjoyed what you just heard, don't forget to follow us on your podcast platforms. Just search for Deep Dive. You can also leave a comment to let us know what you want to learn about China and beyond. This episode is brought to you by me, Li Yunqi, and my colleagues Zhang Zhang and Qi Zhi. Special thanks to CGTN Radio reporter Jiang Tao. I'll see you in the next one.